Hey guys, today's video is going to be a tutorial on this look that I'm wearing today. It's just some super smoky winged liner, big lashes, pinky coral lip. I wore this look in my Wet n Wild lip swatch video, and a lot of you guys asked me to recreate this for a tutorial, and I'm happy to do so. So let's do it. And I actually made a smoky winged liner tutorial a long time ago. I think it was one of my first videos. So I was kind of hesitant about refilming it, but then I was thinking, that was so long ago. My methods have definitely changed. This way is a lot easier than the way that I did my last video, and I've gotten a lot more confident in my abilities as a makeup artist and just filming tutorials in general, so I decided, hell yeah, let's do it. And I actually thought that this would be a really good look for Valentine's Day, or you can just wear it for an everyday look, which is what I've been doing for the past week or so, I think. So anyways, I'm just gonna hop right into it. If you guys wanna know how to get this look, then just keep watching. Okay, so I've already moisturized my face. I'm just going to go in with this Becca Backlight Priming Filter, which is, this is my first time trying it. I have never tried it before. I just got it today in the mail, so I'm excited. And I'm just going to kind of dot this all around my face to make sure I get it everywhere. I've never really used any like luminous, glowy primers before, so I'm interested to see how this works with my skin. So I'm pretty sure with this priming filter, you most likely want to wear like a luminous foundation over it, one that's not super full coverage, because then it's just gonna, obviously like dull down the glowiness and it's not gonna show through if you wear a super full coverage foundation. Since I'm using a pretty heavy duty product for foundation, I'm just gonna mix the two and see how that works out. Okay, so I have 4 drops mixed with the backlight primer on the back of my hand and start dotting it around my face. And now I'm just gonna take a damp beauty blender and just start blending this out and see how it looks. Okay, so I finished applying that layer of Cover FX drops and the Becca Backlight Primer. It's pretty full coverage, the coverage looks pretty good, and it definitely looks like my skin has some kind of a nice healthy glow. It's not like super obnoxiously luminous or anything like that. One thing that's kind of weird though that I noticed is that around my nostrils and other kind of dry areas like on my chin, I don't know if it's the foundation or the primer or both of them mixed together, but it kind of like balls up around my dry patches, and if I'll like run my finger over it, it'll just crumble off my face, which is kind of disgusting. Okay, so I'm going to move on to my under eye concealer, and I'm going to take my Eve Pearl, what is this, Dual Salmon Concealer, and this is in the shade Fair. I'm just going to use a mixture of these two because they're both pretty light and they match my skin tone. I'm not going to use this to highlight my face, I'm just going to really focus this right in the darker areas underneath my eye. And then I'm going to apply just a tiny bit of this NYX Porcelain HD Photogenic Concealer, just 4 dots, to kind of extend that highlight, and a little bit down my nose, on my forehead, on my chin, and that's it. I'm just going to move on to setting powder, and I'm going to use my Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder. Just going to take a tiny bit on the tip of my beauty blender and just really focus this underneath the eye. I don't want my whole face to be mattified, so I'm just going to focus this under the eyes to set the concealer, and then a little bit like in my T-zone area. So for contouring, I'm going to be using this Do Your Research Contour Powder by Shiro Cosmetics. I've used this in a video before, but it's been a while, so I'm going to use it again. Just going to pick a little bit up on an angled brush by Royal & Langnickel. This is a super light, cool toned gray. It's so light that it almost doesn't show up, but it just casts a really nice, almost natural looking shadow. And then I'm going to switch to a darker powder, and this is from the Lunatic Cosmetics Lab Contour Book, and I'm just going to take a tiny bit of this dark gray right here, which looks kind of crazy in the pan, but if you just take a little bit on your brush, it doesn't look too crazy. And I'm just going to use this to darken up the outer part of my contour and just apply it in a really small area and then blend it into the lighter contour. So for highlight, I'm going to take my Mary Luminizer by the Balm. I'm just going to dust this on the top of my cheekbone. This highlight is almost too dark for me, but I don't know, sometimes when I don't want like a super strong, intense highlight, this is really nice. And then for blush, I'm just going to take a little bit of this lightest pink color from the Lunatic Cosmetics Contour Book. That's a mouthful. I'm just going to take a little bit on a brush and dust it on the apples of my cheeks. Okay, so I'm just going in with my MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot. I'm just using this to prime my lid and blending it all the way up to my brow. Okay, so the first real step is to apply a base shadow. I'm going to be using Vanilla from the Battle Lash Sauce Box palette. And I'm taking this on the Smith 220 brush, which is just a freaking phenomenal brush for doing so many different things. Anyways, basically for the base eyeshadow, you're just going to want to put down an eyeshadow that is matte and that matches your skin tone, so the other eyeshadows blend over the top of it very easily. Now you're just going to want to go in with a crease shade. I'm not going to do anything too fancy in the crease, I just want to add some dimension. I'm going to be using Winter Brown from the same palette with a Smith 230 blending brush. So I'm starting out with a really tiny amount and I'm just blending this into the crease. And then if you feel like you need to blend that out a little bit more, you can take a bigger blending brush. This is the Smith 232. I don't have any product on it, I'm just using it to blend out and soften that crease color. Alright, so I'm all done with the lid. Now it's time to move on to the liner. Basically, you're just going to want to take your favorite matte black eyeshadow. My favorite is by Saucebox. It's just a super intense, creamy, buttery, pigmented black. It doesn't have a lot of fallout. So I'm just going to be taking this on a tiny angled brush. It's from Shany Cosmetics, but you can use any thin angled brush that you have. I think another brush that would work really well if you have smaller lids maybe, or not as much space to work with, is the Real Techniques Accent brush. It's a little bit thinner and a little bit smaller. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to go to the outer part of your eye and you're going to start with the wing. So you're going to stamp that line where the bottom of the wing is going to be, basically just mapping it out so you know where to start. And then I'm just taking that angled brush and I'm just stamping that eyeshadow along my lash line. And I'm holding the brush kind of from down below, so it's kind of going like up towards my eye. I'm not holding it from above. This is just going to help it go as close to my lash line as possible, and it's not going to blend it up too far. And you're going to want to start out with a relatively thin liner, so don't blend it up too far just yet. And now I'm going to start the blending process, so I'm going to take a small packer brush and I'm going to dip this just a tiny bit into that black eyeshadow. Then I'm just going to take this brush and I'm just going to run it along that line that we stamped out with the angled brush, and I'm just going to use a really light hand so it doesn't blend out too far yet. And I'm just going to go back and forth, gently smoking it out until I start to see smokiness. And I'm just using really small back and forth motions. I'm not like swiping all the way from outer corner to inner corner at once. I'm just using these really small movements. Another good brush to do this with is the Real Techniques shading brush, or shader brush I think it's called. It's like the accent brush, but it's a little bigger and fluffier, and it's smaller than this brush, so like I said, if you have smaller lid space to work with, then that would probably be a good alternative. I'm switching back to that smaller angled brush, and I'm just going to use this to pack in some more of that black eyeshadow into the inner corner because the other brush is a little bit too big to blend all the way in that small space. Then I'm just going to go back to that blending brush and I'm just going to keep going back and forth, blending it out until I get it as thick and as blurry and smoky as I want it to be. And then I'm going to take that smaller Smith blending brush and I'm just going to really lightly blend this across the top of that eyeliner. This is just going to be the last step in blending it out. And I didn't add any more product to this brush, it's just whatever is left over on it from the crease. I'm just going to switch back to that angled brush and I'm going to dip it back into that black one more time. I'm just going to run this along the bottom half of that liner. This is just going to enhance the smokiness or gradient effect. Obviously not going to blend that all the way up to the top of the liner because that would defeat the purpose of the smokiness, but just going to stamp this along the bottom half to make it a little bit darker. If you need to clean up that wing, if like a little bit of eyeshadow fell down or if it's not a super straight line, you can just take some concealer, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm just taking a flat brush and I'm just going to run that concealer along the line to make it straight and clean. Now what I'm doing is I'm just taking a liquid liner that dries matte, and I'm just going to run this along my lash line as close to it as I can get. And then I'm going to extend it out to my wing, but I'm not going to go all the way to the tip of the wing, I'm going to go about halfway out. So I'm going to move on to mascara, and I'm just going to be using my Benefit They're Real mascara and just going to add a quick coat to my upper and lower lashes. I find that after applying mascara, it's a good time to line your tight line because it really lifts your lashes up and it makes it easier to get up in there. Anyways, I'm just going to take my Perversion Urban Decay eye pencil. I got a ton of comments about my lashes for this look, and the lashes that I'm going to be using are the Starlit lashes by House of Lashes. These are probably my all-time favorites, not gonna lie. I've tried a lot of different kinds from different companies. They're just really nice and full, and I don't know, they just really lift your eyes and just make your eyes look amazing. So the last thing I want to do is just highlight my inner corner and brow bone, and for this I'm going to use Snowflake from the Saucebox Etude palette. And I'm actually just going to pack this on with my pinky. This is my favorite way to do this, especially when I want the inner corner highlight to be super bright. And then I'm just going to take a little bit on a blending brush and run it underneath my brow. For the lips, I think I'm going to go with my new Ofra Cosmetics Paris Rendezvous. It's a part of their Valentine's Day set, and it's a limited edition color, and it's kind of just a really nice bright corally pink, which is perfect. And then to outline my lips first, I'm going to take Baby Berry Lip Liner by Jordana. It's not a perfect color match for the lipstick that I'm going to be using, but it's alright, it's not a big deal. I don't have any coral lip liners, so this is the closest thing I could find, and the lipstick's going to cover the lip liner anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Alright you guys, so this is the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love it when you guys ask me to do tutorials on certain specific looks because that tells me exactly what you want to see, and I always want to do what you want to see. So just keep doing that. If you see me wearing a look that you want me to do a tutorial on, just let me know. And if you guys have tried this primer or these Cover FX drops, I know I've talked about this before, but if you've tried either of these, let me know your thoughts, because as much as you guys, you know, like watch me do stuff and hear my thoughts about certain products, I love it when you guys comment me and let me know, you know, like tips and tricks or just things that you've learned about certain products, because you guys really help me out too. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I'll have everything that I used listed down in the description box, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!